Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. We're here live with the Red Devil recap. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. Absolutely disgraceful performance from the team today. I think it was probably our worst performance under Ruben Amorim so far. The team really lacked today. Bournemouth wanted it more than us. They were faster than us, quicker than us. They had more energy. They had more fight. And it's really that sums up everything, because that's disgraceful, because we're home, we're at Old Trafford, and you know we have a good performance. We have a comeback win against Manchester City, our local rivals, in a derby. We win that match, and we take a step forward, and we've taken 2 steps backwards yet again. Same old Manchester United in terms of the problems that we've had. We've been doing this for quite some time. This isn't specifically a Ruben Amorim problem. This isn't something that has just begun under Ruben Amorim. This has been a reoccurring theme at Manchester United, and it's something that Ruben Amorim has to deal with and has to figure out how he's going to fix it, because to be successful, you need to fix this. So it's a big problem. It's a big issue. It's plagued many managers. It's not something new. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna get around this, because you cannot become a serious competitive club with a huge problem like this. We're gonna break down the match in depth. We're gonna get into it a lot more. Please smash the like button if you haven't done so already. It helps the channel grow, and we greatly appreciate it. It takes 2 seconds of your time, so do that for us, please, and thank you. And also, if you're not a subscriber and you enjoy the show, the channel, and you want to join the community, we have lively discussions. We're always going live weekly. Make sure you subscribe and you hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We're going to do live player ratings. We're going to break down everything and get into the match. But before I get to the chat, I just want to give a little bit more of my opinion. I mean, today was one of those matches where we looked completely off of it. The passing was really bad. It was sloppy. Decision-making was bad. And we just didn't look up to it. We didn't look up to the fight. We didn't look... We just looked worse than Bournemouth. I mean, Bournemouth wanted it more. They were quicker than us. They were winning balls. They were getting ahead of the balls in front of us. They just wanted it more. And it seemed like no matter what we tried to do, we couldn't really get it off. I think we created a good amount of chances. A lot of them being shot off target, wasting chances again. We've said this many times in many Red Devil recaps. Whether, it was under Van Nistelrooy a little bit, under Ten Hag for sure. And, the channel wasn't around prior to Ten Hag, but we've done it prior to Ten Hag as well. So, again, this is something that Ruben Amorim really, it's probably one of his biggest jobs that he has to fix. It's probably one of his biggest problems that he has to figure out and unlock. How do you get Manchester United? How do you change this mentality? How do you change this kind of culture? Because we've seen this before. We've seen Manchester United go play a big match, get a result where people expected us to get absolutely battered and give us no chance to win. We end up winning it, and then we go into the match and the match after, and we lose the match. Now, I think the Tottenham match, we actually probably deserved to win that match in terms of we held more possession. We were away from home. We played the better football. We played a better game than Tottenham. The defense was a little bit shocking, and it wasn't good enough. And we lost that match because of that. But today was the complete opposite story of that. We were outplayed. We were outpaced. We were outmuscled. We were just completely dominated at home by a team that played better football than us at Old Trafford, and that's unacceptable and cannot be happening. And Ruben Amorim is well aware of that, and those players are well aware that these things cannot be happening. But some of them, again, just aren't good enough to be at the club. And when I look at a match like today, I understand we're going through a process, and I'm not really looking at Amorim too much. I'm looking at Ineos, because Ineos need to come and back this manager, and they need to do what's right for this manager, and they need to do what hasn't happened to any manager post Sir Alex Ferguson, and you got to properly back this manager. There are severe problems in this squad that some of these players just really aren't good enough, and we aren't going to go anywhere as long as they are there. We are in a process of building. I think there was some things I seen that were clear improvements since Amorim has taken over, since match day 1 of Amorim. There's a couple moments in the game we move the ball pretty fast, one touch. It's a little bit more instinctive. It's not we're not thinking as much as we were, but we're not at that level yet. We still need to improve in that area. It's not where it needs to be. And I think that's what Bournemouth has shown. I think this manager at Bournemouth has come in. He's had a longer time with them. They have what you would say maybe a lesser quality than us, but they've been playing in that manner for much, much longer. And you can tell the way they play is much more instinctive than us. That's why they were quicker. That's why they were sharper. We tried to play in almost the same manner, but we are not on that level yet. And I think we will get there in due time. But again, we warned about this. The storm seems to be back again, and Amorim is no fool. He was kind of alluding to this fact that yes, we got a good result against City, but we can't get carried away because there are still issues, there are still problems at Manchester United that need to be sorted out. We are nowhere near anything of what he would consider maybe the complete and ready article to really push forward. Let me get to the chat because our wonderful chat members and community are here. So let me get to you because I've given a good piece of my mind, and let's get to that, and we'll get to live player ratings soon. So Richard started off by saying, I want to start with giving Bournemouth credit. We need 3 to 4 windows, guys. Well, Bournemouth 100% deserve credit because they outplayed us. And I really do think they outplayed us. Like, even though we were lacking because they outplayed us. They just played better than us in every aspect. They won the midfield battle. They defended well. They attacked well. And we struggled. We struggled in all aspects of the pitch. And I think we struggled in all aspects of the pitch because they are more drilled in their football and they are more instinctive in their football than we are. And it really showed how much further we need to improve. We are still very much behind. We are still very much a work in progress. We still have a lot of things to clean up, to fix. And that's why I think this is going to happen for the rest of the remainder of the season. And I hopefully it gradually continues to grow. I think there was some noticeable improvements for us, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're far away from it. We're far away from it. Aventino says Dottie D. Yeah. Grace says Amorim out. West Coast Man wouldn't have done this badly. Well, West Coast Man probably would have had us playing the most boring defensive football, which I would assume we would probably still lose. And I would say this, Grace. I would say when you play, listen, Bournemouth, I think they play under this manager. I think they actually play very good football. And when we try to play the football that we're playing, which I consider almost in the same manner. I mean, Bournemouth were absolutely excellent at pressing. We are not on the level of Bournemouth pressing. We can't press as good as them. We can't. I just watched 90 minutes of it. They were absolutely phenomenal. Another point of that is we are still not instinctive enough to move the ball quick enough to get out of a team that presses very well. So Bournemouth press well, and then we're also getting caught in possession. We're making bad decisions, and we're losing the ball in very bad areas because it's not on that level of instinctiveness yet of how to move the ball and get it out and beat that press and absolutely obliterate it. We're not there yet. So when we play in this manner that we're trying to play and that we're trying to grow and we're trying to learn, Well, they're already set in their ways. They're already ahead of us in terms of that, and it showed today. It showed today. They completely outbeat us in every aspect of this match. So, Richard's saying I think we should sack Sir Matt. Aventino says Mano is not up to par. Reality 101. The guy should be swapped with Bruno for subs. Well, that's a very good point. I was on the phone with my father because I woke up late and I feel a little bit under the weather. So I didn't go and watch the match with him. I called him at halftime and we were watching the second half over the phone. And he took off Ugarte and he dropped Bruno back deep. And I immediately told him, I think that's a huge mistake. I don't understand why he's taking out Ugarte. Ugarte was the ball winner. Ugarte was the one that was winning us the ball back. We were struggling to win the ball back. We were struggling to get the ball in our possession. And I wouldn't have taken Ugarte off. I would have probably taken off Mano. I love Mano. I think Mano's a good player. I think Mano's been struggling a little bit since coming back from injury. I think today he was lacking sharpness and a little bit of quickness. He was a little bit slow to the game. He wasn't reading it as good. And if you're going to take Bruno Fernandes and you're not going to sub him off and you're going to drop him back, then I think you have to take off Mano and you got to leave Ugarte in there. I think it was sort of a mistake to take out Ugarte and drop Bruno back and play him next to Mano, where both of them are not as good as defensively as Ugarte. I thought Ugarte was actually pretty good today. Ugarte was brilliant last game as well. So I think that was a mistake by Ruben Amorim today. I don't think he shouldn't have done that. I think it was the wrong decision. Gray says trust the process. I think she's saying that sarcastically, but I would say trust the process under Ruben Amorim. Aventino wants to loan Mano, Garnacho, and Rashford. Well, Rashford, I think we might have to loan him because I don't know if we're going to get a sale. And I wouldn't necessarily loan Mano and Garnacho. I think these are players that you can use and develop at Manchester United and continue to grow. I don't think you need to necessarily start them. I think you can get them off of the bench while they continue to grow. But we need to bring in other players. RSV in here saying these players are a disgrace. There's a massive issue in that dressing room, and even the great players like Maz and Ahmad got affected by it, and today's performance proves it, or they were tired. Well, I don't think they were tired. I think we were losing the match. I think we were in the match. We were still trying. We were still fighting. I think a player like Maz, who has been brilliant all season, does an absolutely stupid decision to try and win the ball, goes to his feet when he shouldn't be going to his feet, going to ground, I'm sorry, in the box, doesn't get the ball, gets the player and gives away a stupid penalty. And that penalty kind of just ended the match for us. And this is part of the problem again. I think we've showed a lot of character to stay in previous matches, and continue fighting. And I think that area was growing and developing. But there's still part of that Manchester United where their heads hang, where they just feel like today's not our day. No matter what we do, it's not going to happen for us. And I felt that today in today's match. I felt a little bit of that. And I think the players were showing that on the pitch. And I think this will come with due time, because this has developed over due time. So you're not just going to eradicate something like that. It's going to take matches. It's going to take a lot of time to weed that out. It's also going to take some players moving out of the club and out of the team and getting new players in to redevelop that chemistry, that mentality. You RSV mentioned very, very rightfully, that there's issues in that dressing room, and I think there is, mentality wise, and personality wise, and this is why it's important that we, Ineos, again, I will say, they have to, because I think Amorim is doing the best job he possibly can for the situation that he's put in right now. We're playing about 3 matches a week. We don't have the time to train properly. He doesn't have the time to properly prep. and I look to Ruben Amorim, to Ineos, to these windows that are coming up, that you have to get the correct profile of player, and you have to get the right mentality and the right attitude. They need to do the job that is required to help the manager. While Amorim is doing his job as a coach, and I think he's doing the best right now. I think what he's doing is going to take some time. I still feel confident with him there, but let's see what happens. Box is in here saying very, very tough watch. It was a very hard watch. It was very frustrating game. We created some chances that we wasted them. We could have done better. The shot should have been at least on target. Some of you are gonna argue have to be goals, and I agree with that. But yeah, it was very, 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 very tough watch. Aventino, to be fair, we had many goal scoring opportunities and could not finish. But this is one of those things that have been happening. I think we've been doing a little bit better to score goals and chances under Ruben Amorim, but today kind of feels like a match under Ten Hag before he got sacked. We created some chances. We were very wasteful. We didn't finish our dinner. We didn't do what we needed to do. We weren't clinical enough, and we were home. You expect us to be a lot more clinical, a lot more sharp, a lot more hungrier, and we weren't. And I think this is some of that old pre-Amorim aspect creeping back in. And this is what I'm saying. Like, it's not something that has been 100% eradicated. We are fighting against it. We are trying to overcome that, but we haven't overcome it yet. And there's going to be games, and there's going to be matches, and there's going to be moments where it creeps back in, but we have to continue to push to get over that hill until we finally beat it. But we haven't beat it yet because it's still there. Richard says, I've only seen United like this twice before, 73, 74, and 88 and 89. Yeah, it kind of feels like those seasons. And when Sir Alex took over in that season, it didn't necessarily improve. We still finished very low in the table, and I feel like that's going to be this season. Like, it's not necessarily going to prove. We see what Amorim is trying to do. We see what Amorim is doing with the players. We see slight improvements, but they're not good enough to propel us to where we want to go as of right now, and it's going to take some more time. So Box says a lot of dark days to follow, sadly. Well, I don't think it'll be all dark days. I think it'll be a mixture where we'll get some good performance, good results, and then the storm will come back in. And it'll be, either a couple rainy days, couple rainy nights, matches. And then it'll clear again, and we'll get a good performance here and there. Maybe we'll get 2 on the bounce. And I think that's what this season really is going to be. Rich is saying, yes, we are bad finishing. Kobe did not play well. And the Lions is here. Lions is saying Kobe has been off for a while now. What's going on? Well, I think what's happened with Kobe is that period where he was out for about 5 weeks, I think he's fallen behind in terms of match sharpness. I think he's a little bit off of it. I expect him to come back at some point, but he just seems a little bit out of it ever since that he was injured, and he missed those like about 5 weeks. I think he's behind a lot of the players in the Premier League. He's missed, he missed quite a few matches, and I think it's going to take him a little bit to get up to speed. It's a little bit similar, but there's obviously key differences with somebody like Malacia. You see that he tries to do the right things, but he's so far off of it. And Malacia obviously is a different circumstance where he was somebody that didn't play for almost 2 years. But we need to try and get these players back up to speed. And we have a lot of matches, and it's difficult because the team is in a difficult position as well. The team is trying to improve. The team is trying to build, and you have players that are either struggling or they're not up to sharpness. The rest of the team is trying to learn a new way, a new system, a new style of play. And they're trying to learn things. So there's many different aspects in the squad that are right now just a little bit all over the place. Which I think is why we're seeing these sort of performances and results, and how we can, win a match like we did against City, but then lose a match in the manner that we did today. Mano and Garnacho have both taken similar downturns in form and ability. Well, I think that comes with the rest of the squad as well. I do. I think Mano and Garnacho have two different circumstances. I think Kobe's suffering because he missed those matches and he's come back from injury and he's a little bit off of the pace. I think Garnacho has just different problems. I think he's out of form. I think he's struggling a little bit in terms of that and his mentality. And I think also there's the team aspect of that. The team isn't particularly gelled well, and therefore these players are also, while they're struggling individually, they're struggling team-wise as well. I think if the team builds and starts performing as a unit a little bit better, I think it provides a ground or an atmosphere for these other players to perform a little bit better. Box says probably been overplayed and undercoached and drilled. Well, maybe. Gray says, do you think Mano would be better 10 and should be a backup to Bruno and Ahmad and get a proper 8 like Ederson? Well, yeah, maybe. I think Kobe does have the intelligence mixed with the ability to probably play in that position. And I think it's something we should do because, my father was very upset with Bruno Fernandes today. He was very upset that Bruno Fernandes doesn't get pulled off and no manager pulls off Bruno Fernandes. And I get it. But at the same time, we don't, as frustrating and as bad as Bruno can be, we also don't have somebody that is necessarily a creator. Like, you might think Bruno Fernandes is not good enough, but he's the only creator we got in that position, technically. So you can't really take him off because there's nobody to necessarily replace him. Now, you would say Mason Mount, but Mason Mount is never fit, so he ain't, he's not a realistic option. What I think would be good is what Grace has mentioned, because I think Kobe Mano can play that position. I think Kobe Mano has the intelligence to play there, and I think he also has the ability to play there. Now I think he's a little bit out of form and he's a little bit, he's a little bit behind in match sharpness and stuff like that. But I think maybe something like that would work. Because I think he can play there and then maybe get somebody that's more of a proper 8, because I don't think Kobe is necessarily a proper 8. I think he has a natural all around ability, but, I think we need more of a specialist in that position. I'm really behind on the chat, so bear with me because you guys are making some very good points, and I don't want to skip nobody's opinion. So, Box saying, I'd like to see Gore, Collier, Kone integrated too, phase out Casemiro and Edison. Well, I think that's coming. I think that will come, Box. I think it will. I just think that right now, as you see, the first team is struggling. The first team needs to improve. The first team needs to grow, and the first team needs to learn. And I am of the opinion that you need to get the first team settled. You need to provide a foundation for these younger players, an atmosphere for them to come into where, these more experienced players can help them grow and develop when they come in, because it's a very difficult thing to come into. There's going to be ups and downs for them. And if the first team is a mess and these experienced players are sort of a mess, these younger players coming in there, you might do more damage than help them. Because if these experienced players are struggling and you throw these kids in there, if the majority of the squad is struggling, then I think, maybe they do good in a couple of matches, but I think they'll get sucked into it. And I don't want these younger players to get sucked into it. I want these players to come into a place where there's a good foundation, there's a good harmony, there's a good chemistry, the team is performing pretty well, and they come in and they add some value to it. And push the team, because with these kids also you will get inconsistent performances, you will get up and downs. So I think we need to stabilize the first team first, but I do expect people and players like Gore, like Collier, like Kone, etc., to get integrated soon. Gray saying it's funny how our midfielders are shit in midfield. Only Ugarte and Casemiro are proper midfielders. Everybody else wants to play the 10. Well, that's what I was kind of saying before. Like the important, I think we need more specialists, because I think Manu has a kind of all around natural talent, but he's not a specialist. Like Ugarte is a specialist. Casemiro is a specialist, and I don't know what's going on with Casemiro, because Casemiro is not allowed to play anymore apparently. When was the when was the last match he played? When was the last match he got subbed on? I don't even know what's going on with him. So he seems done. He might go in January. I'm not sure what's going on with the transfers, but I do think we need more specialists in that midfield. Ray says, hi everybody, Merry Christmas. Yes, early pre-Christmas. It's probably a good point, because I don't think we'll end up doing a Christmas stream. Maybe we will. Maybe we will. It'll be our first one, that's for sure. Bach saying 14 goals conceded in 6 games is a worry too. Well, that's another thing, and it's a very good point. And it's made me remember what I wanted to bring up. Listen, today we got outplayed in many aspects, but we conceded another set piece, and we gave away a penalty. That's 2 out of the 3 goals. The third goal came, which you kind of expect. I think in the way we play this formation, this style, I think you're always going to most likely concede 1 goal. The way it's set up, especially when it's supposed to get more advanced and we stop playing with defenders as the wing backs and we play with wingers, 2 wingers as the wing backs. We'll be a little bit more open. But the point of that is we're supposed to outscore the opponents. So when they do get 1, we have 3 or we have 4, and we win the match. But we have a real issue right now. We're conceding too many cheap goals on set pieces, because I don't think we're not getting scored on in open play. I think in open play we're actually doing pretty decent to stop teams from scoring, but we're suffering this sort of cheap goals that are letting us down, because I think we do our right to stay in the match. We play pretty decent to stay in the match, but then we go and we concede 1 or 2 goals from a corner or a goal from a free kick. And all the hard work that we've done to kind of be in the match, we've now set ourselves backwards, and we're not giving ourselves the best chance to go and win the match. That's a serious issue. Ruben Amorim and his team need to figure out how they're going to fix this aspect, because I think we seriously need to figure out how to stop conceding from corner kicks, free kicks, just set pieces in general, because the set pieces are doing a ton of damage to us. A ton of damage. We were in the match, we were looking a little bit shaky, but to concede that goal from the free kick and go 1-0 down, we don't need to be in positions like that. To go into a match and have it be 0-0 and we concede from a corner kick and we're down 1-0, and now we made our job twice as hard, is really doing a lot of damage to the squad. So Gray says at least we are plus goal difference for a few days. Yeah, well, that's kind of evaporated. So Lion saying it's tough. No, European football might do the team some good next year, not the club. The team might profit from it. Well, yeah, maybe, but I don't know how that goes. There's always positives, but there's always negatives to that, right? I mean, you're not in Europe. What kind of quality players you're gonna get? Maybe less matches, maybe to help us, really build. I mean, Arsenal sort of did that, right? Where they finished 8th twice. And you could argue maybe it allowed Arteta, allowed more time on training. It allowed him to set the system a little bit more. But again, I will stress the importance that Ineos must do the job. They must do the job. That like Edu did at Arsenal for Arteta. They must get players in, and they must remove players that do not belong here. So racing, I know we have to give more time to the new manager, but don't know anymore. One step forward, three steps backwards. Well, I think that's just part of the process, Ray. Right now, in the current situation that we're in, again, I'm gonna keep saying this. He's coming in a difficult period. They've made his. Listen, we were well aware that the club is a mess. The players are a mess. There's big issues. There's big problems. He's already had a big challenge on his hand. To make it worse, he's come in a period where he can't train the squad properly. He's had basically next to little no time. He's playing 3 matches a week. And he's basically using matches as training to a certain extent. So I quite expect these matches or these performances to continue happening for this season, the rest of the season. I expect a stronger performance going into next season. I expect a stronger foundation next season, but I think this season is definitely it's going to be a struggle, and it's a work in progress, and I expect a lot of ups and downs. I expect a lot of take one step forward, 2 back, take one step forward, take 1 step back. I expect a lot of that for the remainder of the season. I think it's just natural. I think it's a clear indication when you're looking at the team, when you're looking at some of the issues. I don't think it has anything to necessarily do with Ruben Amorim. I think he's actually smart. I think he actually knows what he's doing. I actually think he's things that he's trying to implement in the short amount of time that he has in training, and his messaging to the players, I think, is getting pretty across for as much as good as he could possibly do in the current situation. I see some improvements in that team. I see some improvements in the way they're moving the ball about, the idea of what they're trying to do. They're just not there yet. That's going to take more time. But it really is. We are really in like a learning process of a season. And it's hard to deal with. It's hard to struggle with. Because you want the team to win, you want the team to perform. But I've sort of just accepted that, listen, this guy has come into a very hard and difficult period. It's going to be a lot of games like this where we get a good result, we look good, and then we're going to go into a match and we're going to look like, what the hell are we doing? So I would say write the season off now. I mean, I don't want to necessarily write the season off. I just want to use it as a building block. I think we need to try and win as many matches as possible. I think we need to try and demand as many good performances as possible. But I think we should just keep it also in the back of our head that, these things are going to happen for this season, and that this season is going to be very difficult, and there's a lot of chaos going on. So I don't necessarily want to write it off. But let's see. Lyle has joined us as well. Richard says you will see a difference by the 3rd or 4th window. I agree with that, Richard. Only if Ineos do the correct job by Amorim. Only if they do the correct job, because we have to move on the correct players. We have to bring in the correct players, the right profile, the right attitude, the right ability. And they need to get it right. And I have more confidence in them to get it right than, let's say, our previous regime. But there's no guarantee. They can get in players that are very bad. One of them, I think, was a Dan Ashworth type of thing, was Xerxes. I question how he really fits in to the way we're trying to play. We need another striker. We need a couple positions. We're playing without a left back. Malacia is there. It's a struggle with Malacia. He shouldn't be necessarily starting matches. He should be being eased back into it, getting cameos and some performances. When we're up in matches, or we're a little bit more comfortable. But the sad fact is that we don't have left backs. I think Delo is more comfortable on the right than he is on the left. There's a lot of issues in the dynamics of the squad. So, Real quick, guys, please smash the like button for me if you haven't. It helps the channel. So please, massive, massive thank you. If you haven't smashed the like button, smash the like button. Grace says Manu pocketed Declan Rice in last season preseason game against Arsenal, then got overhyped. Then Eric decided to play him every game instead of coming off the bench and buying a quality 8. Well, yeah, we can't outburn over we can't burn these players out either, but again, I think like Richard is saying, it's going to take a couple windows. We've done one window under Ineos, a summer window. I'm fairly happy with 4 out of the 5 signings. I have question marks over Xerxes. I don't know if that was a good signing. I think Maz gave away a bad penalty today, but in the overall aspect of the season, he's been really good. I like the lid very much. I think Ugarte has grown into the shirt and into his position, and he's becoming the player that I kind of expected him to be. And Yoro seems like a fantastic talent. I think those 4 have been, they give me hope and they give me promise for future windows. Xerxes is a question mark, but then again, we're not going to get every decision correct. I've always stated, you just have to get more right than you've got wrong. And I think if you say 4 out of 5, that's an excellent record in terms of recruitment. So let's see what happens, because I agree with Richard very much that it's going to take another 2 to 3 windows. They have to do what they've done in their first window. And they have to continue on. They can't just be like, well, we put in this money and we expect results. You have to clean it out more. You have to clean it up a lot more. So Ray says, this is my opinion, that we depend too much on Bruno and he's been shit for the last 2 seasons. And you're not necessarily wrong about that. We depend on Bruno because Bruno is considered the creator of the team. When you look at statistics, he creates the most chances. Maybe he gives the ball away a lot. Maybe maybe he doesn't do the position the best because he's a little bit erratic with the ball and he makes some poor decisions sometimes and stuff like that. But our biggest issue is when you take out Bruno, who do you put there? Who do you put in that position that you consider is a creator, can create chances, and it gives you that sort of those legs, that intensity in that position? I would say you put Mason Mount, but we don't have Mason Mount. Mason Mount is absolutely useless to us because Mason Mount can't stay fit. So Mason Mount's out of the picture. Then we talked about earlier that I would say, okay, we can put maybe Manu there. But they don't seem to want to put Manu there. Also, Manu is struggling with sharpness right now. But I would try to play him there. Even as a backup to Bruno and take Bruno out. And take Bruno out when he's not playing well. And I would put Manu there. But I don't, when Manu, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what's his 100% best position right now. Because again, I think he has all around natural talent, but I don't think it's been developed to a specific position yet. So we need to work on that. We need to figure that out. Where are we going to really use Manu? Or are we just going to allow him to be an all-arounder and kind of develop all aspects of his game and kind of switch him around from place to place? I don't know. But I think that's also one thing, I said today when I was on the phone with my father, I told him, I was like, they showed Mason Mount at the match. And I said, listen, I actually like him. I actually think he's a pretty good player, but he's so unavailable. He's gotten injured again. He's going to be out for weeks. We can't have that. That's absolutely useless. I think we have to sell him. We have to sell him, and we got to get in somebody that can rival Bruno for that position. That can either take his starting spot or come in for Bruno when Bruno's having a shit game, so we don't have to depend so much on Bruno Fernandes. So, Lion says he thinks the season is done, so I think it's time to trial some academy players now. Well, maybe at some point. But again, I'm looking at it in the way of Amorim is trying to set the first team. He's trying to set the foundation in the first team. And I don't think he's necessarily going to bring in some academy players because they're not how do I put this? They're not accustomed to first team football. They're not accustomed to professional football. So there's the way I look at it right now, there's chaos in the first team, and these are professionals. These are experienced professionals. They have experience in big European matches. They have experience playing weekly, basically men on the pitch, week in and week out. You have a bunch of kids that are not experienced to that. You're going to take these kids that it's going to be a little bit chaotic because they need to get accustomed to that. You're going to take them and you're going to throw them into a squad that's already chaotic, that's trying to learn a certain aspect of football. And nothing is really, you don't really have a good, now maybe sometimes, you thrive under chaos. But I think the way Amorim is looking at it is like, I need to get this foundation for the first team stronger. It needs to be a little bit more solid. It needs to be a little bit more concrete, a little bit more confidence in it, to provide an environment so that I can bring in these younger players like a Collier, like some academy players, bring them up, because I think he does want to use them. He's used them at Sporting. He's done it at Sporting. He's developed many players. So I'm not worried about that. I think he will do it. I just think that he's really trying to lay the foundation for them to come in. Because again, as much as we want them to come in, I always have a fear, and I always try to look out for them, that I don't want them to be thrown in absolute disaster and chaos, and then you absolutely destroy them. I don't like throwing the younger kids to the wolves to be absolutely eaten up, destroy their confidence, destroy their mentality. They're young. They are still growing. They're still trying to find out who they are in the world and stuff, even though they're footballers. And in today's world, it's very difficult to navigate that. So I always worry about that. I want the first team to be a little bit more settled, a little bit more just stronger, before we start throwing these kids in there. I want them to come in. I do. I think we can use them. I think it can help the squad building in terms of, maybe we don't have to buy so many positions. Maybe we have a couple positions, a couple talented players already there, and we can develop them. But I'm a little bit worried of doing it right now at this moment. Still think we need to improve in a lot of key areas before that happens. Lyle says, I would aim for 7th or 8th at this point and focus full on the Europa League. We need to win that at all costs. Well, I think they are focusing heavily on the Europa League, but we still need to try and do the best on all aspects. I think it's not the position we want to be in, but I think it's a good position to test us, for Ruben Amorim to learn more about the players when they're being tested, when things aren't going their way, to learn their character, their attitude, their response, their personality. I think it's a good period right now for that, and we need to continue to push and push and push. That's why I don't think we shouldn't necessarily write off the season. We should try as hard as possible. Do I think we're going to get top 4? It looks like a very, very long shot away from it, from the way we were going. But we shouldn't just be like, yeah, we'll take 8th place. I think we should still try and get as high as possible, while also, really pushing in the Europa League. We're out of the Carabao Cup, so that's a 1 or 2 less matches for us. And we're still in the FA Cup, so there's that as well. But again, Ruben Amorim has made comments about, the sort of like silverware can mask the problems right now. And I do agree. I don't think necessarily we need a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. I don't think we need to win those this season. I actually prefer if we don't win those season, because again, I think it was something that damaged Erik ten Hag in his first season. Because there was issues, there was problems. It papered over the cracks, and when the cracks cracked open and there was major floods, it looked very bad on Erik ten Hag and the players. So I think let's not do that. We need to win the Europa League to get into the Champions League. That I'll take. Jonathan Chong is in here, says unlucky. Oh, that's my buddy Chonger. Says unlucky Steezy. That's my nickname. Chong saying, why is Onana always rooted for set piece goals? He should at least try to dive. Well, the problem with Onana, Chong, is that Onana doesn't have he doesn't have intuition in terms of a shot stopper. So a shot stopper, they read when the ball is hit, they read it and they react to it. His reactions are a little bit slow. So what Onana does as a goalkeeper is he guesses where the ball is going to go. And when you guess, you concede a lot of goals. You could tell that's why he's always rooted, because his reactions are slow. He's not the best shot stopper, so he's a problem. But I would the team are very bad at defending set pieces, so the team has to figure that out as well. It's a whole team aspect. Don't worry, guys. Only 15 points off a title challenge. Well, we're not looking at that, Grace. Come on. It was top 4 or nothing. But Richard saying today is the first of my Christmas dinners at home. Roast beef today, goose tomorrow, lamb on Tuesday, turkey on Wednesday. Wow, you got a whole lineup, Richard. I'm jealous. Beyond Curry, Kukonki, Jack Fletcher, Amos, and Obi are all ready for the step up and are 100% better what we have now. I would even fling Shea Lacey in the mix up. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if they're all ready. I don't know. Listen, I don't watch them, but I know it's a big step up. I'm aware of, all the players you named. I like Beyond Carey. I don't watch full 90 minutes of the youth playing, so but I always know it's a difficult. Am I happy now? Says Axe Lord. I mean, I'm not happy with the result. I'm not happy with the performance, but disappointed, but it doesn't alter my mood. Well, I mean, I'm here. Chat, how has my mood been? We're 47 minutes into the show. How has my mood been all the show? Have I been here necessarily screaming? Did I get into the camera and scream and start going absolutely crazy? No. It's because I expect these things to happen. I know that they're gonna happen. I'm obviously disappointed. I'm hurt, but it's not really too much of a surprise. And we know what it is. Axe says this Amorim is shit. I haven't seen players so uncomfortable in a while. Well, that's good. They need to be uncomfortable because they need to learn how to play, Axe. They need to learn how to play. Bournemouth plays basically almost a similar way to the way that we're trying to play, and they completely outplayed us. They were quicker than us. They were faster than us. They were sharper than us. They were smarter than us. They beat us in all aspects, and that's why we lost. We were outplayed. And we need to learn how to play in this manner. So it's going to take time. Again, I look at City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. They all went through the same things once all 3 managers came in. Pep, Klopp, and Arteta. It all took them about 2 seasons or more. Obviously, you have to change players as well. You have to move on the correct players. But to learn the system and you push through with the system, and I think we don't play necessarily that bad, but there are times where we are just outbeaten right now, and this is going to continue to happen. So, Lyle asking Richard if he's feeding a village. Xerxes can deliver a pass when he drops back in links passes is the role he should primarily have. Axe Lord Amorim has nothing to do with it. Says Ray, it is the player's mentality has to deal with it. Well, I think right now, certainly, I don't think it has anything to do with Ruben Amorim. I really don't. Will he make a mistake here or there? Sure. I think it was a mistake that he took off Manuel Ugarte today. I really do. I don't think he should have done it. I think it was a bad decision. I think I think it hurt us. Is that the reason why we necessarily lost the match? No. The players weren't good enough today. And again, we're just not there yet. We're trying to learn. We're trying to grow. I've seen some improvements with the way we play, but we're just not there yet. We're just not there yet. You're talking about how many matches has he been in charge yet? It's impossible for us to get there. Um, we've been so far behind for so many years. It's impossible. But I do see already slight improvements in the way the team is going. And I think as time goes on, I think we'll see more improvements. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. Not right now. I'm comfortable with this season at being what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a very turbulent, up and down, a good performance, a bad performance. It's gonna be a very, probably not a very good finish for us in the Premier League. Hopefully we could go far in the Europa League, maybe win it. I would hope that. And then I look to next season and I look to the summer. I want to see Ineos do the job that they need to do for this manager, and the recruitment has to be spot on. And when we go into the next season, I expect a much stronger start. I expect us to look much stronger. And that's when I'm really going to start judging a lot more. Right now is a very hard work in progress. So, almost none of the players are suitable for this system. Well, I disagree with that. Quite I think there's I think there's quite a numerous amount of players that are suitable to this system. I think there's I think there's a good amount that aren't suitable to the system. I think there's some players that are out of form that are suitable to the system. And again, it's a whole unit type of thing. I don't think so. I don't think so. When all the team is horrible, it's on the manager. Even Ahmad was playing like shit. No, not necessarily. Why would it be on the manager? Why would it be on the manager? I mean, the players just aren't up to. They just weren't up to it. It's not necessarily on the manager. Mount gives you energy, but he's another Luke Shaw, says Richard, 100%. And that's the sad part about it, because I like both Luke Shaw and Mount, but them not being available, it is what it is. Tess Indichu, if I said your name wrong, I'm sorry, says, I think Malacia should get sold. Well, maybe so. For me, Malacia, listen, the guy hasn't played for almost 2 years. He's going to be very, very behind on football. It's going to be a struggle. Maybe we do need to sell him because we could get some money for him, and we could get some other players or we could get replacement in left back, and sell Luke Shaw as well, and maybe get 1 to 2 new left backs that are more up to speed. Do we really have time to work to have a work in progress with Tyrell Malacia, and nobody knows how actually, what's his ceiling. Plus, he's very behind, so maybe we do need to do that. I'm telling you, says Axe, if the start of next season will be bad, you will turn against Amorim. Well, it depends how bad it is. And it depends what happens as well. If he's making decisions that I disagree with, if he gets into a position where we are very, very poor, I'm not going to be very, very happy. But it all depends on how things go. So, we'll see. Lyle says Amorim needs a good couple of windows to get the players for his system and watch this new United cook. League is tough, but season is far from over. Europa League has become super important. Well, yeah. But there's players that we have that I think still it's gonna take time, a little bit more time. I don't think that they don't fit the system. I see them playing it, and I think they can play, but it's just gonna take more time for them to really patent it down, and become instinctive. I seen it, and even in this match today, we were playing. There was parts and times in that match where we looked very good in terms of the one-touch passing and the creativity, but we weren't able to sustain it for a large period. And again, it's just not 100% instinctive yet. Once it becomes instinctive with most of these players, we'll be in a much better spot. Then there's going to be players that are going to be even more exposed into that they are just 100% not suited for this style of play or the Premier League. They're not good enough. And those are the players that are going to have to get moved on, and we're going to have to bring in new players. So it's literally part of the process. It's literally part of the process. So Alex Ferguson was the manager of Aberdeen, 10 times smaller than Sporting, 100%. Just wait for them to play against a good team in Europe. I exempt a quick elimination. Oh, maybe. Richard says, yes, Eric, why did you change your name on Twitter from Steez? I don't know. I just felt like it. Steez was my nickname, but I just changed it on Twitter. I don't know. My mood is great, says Richard. Well, yeah. Lyle says, I predict a pickup in performance and results after this busy period. Heavy rotation for now, but it will come right. And Richard says, here we go, Bailey's cheesecake and Irish coffee. I'm jealous. That sounds very good. Let's do player ratings, because we've got a lot of good discussion in, and we didn't do player ratings. So, player ratings is going to be interesting. And player rate. All right. What did? Oh, I thought I lost volume. I'm sorry. Give me uno momento, please, and thank you. Okay. Okay. Andre Onana. We could do them together if you want. Get him in the chat. Write whatever you guys think it is. Put him in there. So Onana, I'll give him a 6. I think really maybe the only problem, like my buddy Chong said, was that Onana seems to be very planted and rooted. And it was on the set piece goals, always rooted. And should try and dive, but I don't think he could be at fault for the other 2 goals, especially the one was a penalty. And again, I think this is a whole team thing. We need to defend better in set pieces. We've been conceding a shit ton of set pieces. It's a team issue. I thought, he was all right at other points. My one thing, though, I will say is that I don't like the aspect of how he holds the ball. Lion gives him a 5, which is fine. I mean, he conceded 3 goals, so but it's a collective thing. Lion says no, 4 point. He's changed it to a 4.5. I don't blame him for two of the goals. The third goal, can he do better? I mean, not the third goal, but the set piece goal. Can he do better? Yeah. Is it 100% his fault? No. I think it's a shared collective blame. I mean, Xerxes heading the fucking air, was nowhere near the ball, was nowhere near the man. Why? You should make that header more difficult. The ball, was put in a very good spot. I don't think many people are going to save that anyway. So, but Lions, putting out what I was saying, I hate how he slows down the play. And that is one of the big issues. And I had an issue with that today. He slows it down far too much. He needs to release the ball quicker. And sometimes it's not his fault, but there was a lot of moments today where it was his fault. There was a moment where he caught the ball. Whoever was out on our left wing was completely wide open. All you had to do was roll the ball out to him, and we can start the attack. And we could counter. And he didn't roll it out. He held on to it. And he really held on to it. Then he put the ball on the floor. and then he kicked it long. And I was like, well, that's a bunch of fucking nonsense. If you were going to kick it long, why didn't you just kick it from the beginning? Because now you're giving a 50-50. You could have rolled it out to the left, right? So that's my one and only thing. But I don't know. That has to come again from the coaching staff, because if you have a player doing things like that and you're not asking the player to be doing that, then you need to sort that shit out. There was a similar thing to Onana doing things like that, and even the team aspect of passing the ball a lot backwards. And we were doing it a lot under Ten Hag, a lot more than we do it now. We still do it now, a fairly good amount, but we were doing it a lot under Ten Hag. And I was saying, like, there's no way that if you don't tell the players to do that, and they're doing it week in and week out. So for me, they need to adjust that. If they're telling Onana to do that, they need to adjust it, because I think it's hurting us. Maz, I gotta give him a 5 for the penalty. He gave us away a penalty. I thought he played an alright, decent game. I think he played an average game today, but to give away that penalty, and put us down 2-0 and make that stupid decision was very, very bad. So, listen, I'm not gonna be too critical of Maz, because he's been really good all season. To me, he's our signing of the season so far, but he had a really bad decision today that hurt the team in a very bad way. So yeah, that wasn't good. But Lion says, I hate how he slows down. Well, oh yeah, I read that. Richard says, we have a set piece coach, so why do we do this? 4 would be my rating for Onana. Well, Amorim has brung in a set piece coach. He's brung in. No, not a set piece. Wait, is it a set piece coach or a goalkeeper coach? He's bringing one of them, if not both of them. I don't know. I'm getting confused now. But we do have a set piece. We had another set piece coach. And maybe we need a different set piece coach, because I don't know what's going on with the set pieces, but it's really bad. Remember Schmeichel throwing the ball? Yeah, but I think Onana can do that. I actually think he can throw the ball. He just doesn't do it, and I do believe he's being told to slow it down. I don't think he's I think he's told to be doing that. So I think that needs to be adjusted for sure. Harry Maguire, I give him a 6. I think he did okay. All right. There was a couple moments he looked a little bit shaky. He was a little bit out of position. Didn't really lead to nothing though. In terms of goals, Sandro for me, kind of the same thing. Pretty average. Maybe a 5.5, maybe a 6. Delo, sort of similar. And like a 5.5, a 6, around there. Ugarte, I actually give Ugarte. I would actually give Ugarte like a 6.5. I think he was probably our best player on the pitch today. I think he was the one with the most impactful performance. I think he was the one that probably did the best job in for his job. And again, I think it was a mistake that he took him out, because he was winning us the ball and he was making a presence in the midfield, and we were already struggling there with him there. And I don't think he should have came out. I wouldn't have taken him out. And I would have probably taken out Kobe to push Bruno back if you're not going to take Bruno off. So I think that was definitely a mistake by Amorim. It didn't help, and then we ended up conceding another goal after that, and that was the only open play goal that we conceded, and that was after we took off Ugarte and we pushed Bruno next to Kobe Mainu. So for sure, Ugarte had an impact, and I thought Euro done okay. Yeah. I think Euro did okay for his little cameo. Mainu, I would give Mainu probably a 5.5, to be honest. I think he was struggling today. He seemed to be it's the key word for me is just like sharpness and quickness. His reactions were a little bit slow. his awareness was a little bit slow. Um, he had the ball. He wasn't aware that people were on him or people were coming to tackle him. The ball was coming to his feet. He wasn't aware of the positional, surroundings around him, which is very unlike him. But again, I think this is something that has kind of been evident, um, since he was injured, and Ten Hag, Ten Hag was sacked and all that, and maybe he's struggling with a little bit of adjustment, and he's behind on match sharpness and fitness and stuff like that, compared to some other players because they played a lot more matches than he has since he was out for that time. So uh, Terrell Malacia is gonna get a 5 because I would even almost give him a 4.5. He definitely had some very bad moments, gave the ball away in some very bad areas, bad passing. Again, I feel bad for him because I think he's so far away, and I don't even think he should necessarily be starting matches. I think Tyrell Malacia should be getting 15 to 20-minute cameos at the end of the matches. If we need, a bit of change, or if we're winning a match and we're comfortable, and you put him on to get back into the feeling of game and some sharpness and quickness. So I don't think he should be starting matches necessarily. The only problem is again, we don't have left backs, and he's a left back and he's available. So it is a kind of a catch-22 of what do you do. But I think Amorim needs to. I think Amorim needs to switch what he's been doing, and I think he needs to not start him, and he needs to start other people, and then he needs to bring in Tyrell Malacia later on in the game when people are more tired, when they have less energy, when they're not as sharp. Um, Done okay, yeah. Says Axe. Being okay is not enough for Man United. The whole Ram is shit. We can't hide from the truth. Today was a disgrace. Yeah, but we're talking about Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro was substituted on. Has nothing to do with pretty much the performance. He did okay when he came on. I mean, there wasn't much for him to do. You know, Lenny was a sub. Lenny has nothing to do with anything. We're looking at Lenny as a young prospect. Um, did all right. These players had average. Some of them had below average. I mean, most of the players we gave had average performances, or I mean, below average performances. So Diallo was quiet tonight. Um, Still looked a little bit. It looked all right, but he was quiet tonight. I'd probably give him a 5.5. Um, Slightly below average, just for the quietness. But I mean, the whole team was pretty much a 5.5. You know what I mean? So, Dean is in here. Um, Dean is in here saying, I've been watching United for 45 years. There's a larger problem here. Amorim was never the savior of the team. He is an average manager with a good staff. This team needs to rebuild. I don't think necessarily any manager is the savior. Um, I do agree with you that the team needs to rebuild. I think Ruben Amorim has a good philosophy and a good mentality. Um, I like his system very much, but no one manager is the savior. Again, this is a club. This is the team aspect. We need everybody to do their jobs. We need the players to do their jobs. We need to get the correct players in. The manager or the coach has to be doing his job in terms of coaching and developing the players as properly as possible. And the people above the manager need to do their job and help the manager by getting in the correct players, um and and profile the player and fitting the team as best as possible. I don't think Ruben Amorim, anybody that looked at Ruben Amorim and looked at him like he was the sole savior and answer, like he was just going to come in and fix everything. I think United fans have been looking at this quite wrong for quite some time. Sir Alex Ferguson, while he does get all the credit, there was still a good ecosystem around Sir Alex Ferguson. It wasn't just Sir Alex Ferguson. There was people at the club beyond Sir Alex Ferguson that helped Sir Alex Ferguson. It wasn't just all Sir Alex Ferguson. So again, the club aspect. I think anybody that's like been looking at the manager position and saying we get this manager and this guy's gonna fix the whole thing, is completely wrong because no one man is gonna come and fix the no one man is gonna come and fix the club. Just like no one man went to Liverpool, right? Okay, the manager has a big impact, but Klopp had people around him, Pep has his people, and Arteta had people at Arsenal. They didn't do it individually. They didn't walk in and fix everything that they needed to fix. They had people there supporting them. So, you will see that even with the newly transferred squad, Amorim will win nothing. Maybe so. Maybe not. So I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. Um, I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm not really looking at what we're going to win right now. I'm looking at can he transform the team and get us to play and put us in a position where we are competitive and where we are playing and have a real identity and a strong style of play. That's what I want. I want Manchester United to be a strong, confident team that plays a specific style of football and we are known to play and we have an actual real identity. I want to see, just like when I look at Arsenal and I say they have an identity and they have a play and a style of play and and it's good and they play well and you know what to expect from them when you watch week in, week out. The same thing goes for Liverpool, and the same thing goes for Manchester City up until this point. Obviously, they're collapsing a little bit, but they were doing it for years. I want that same thing. I think Ruben Amorim can deliver that. I think he can do it. But again, he's not going to do it by himself. Again, the club needs to do what the club needs to do. We need to get the correct players in. The players need to do their jobs on the pitch as well. This is a whole collective thing. So let's see where that goes. But I'm not particularly concerned right now. Because I think Ruben Amorim actually understands, and I actually think he's a smart man. So, but Bruno Fernandes, 5.5. Joshua Xerxes, 5. Didn't do enough. Lenny Yoro, I give him a 6. Sub. Done okay, as me and Richard have already said. Garnacho, 6. Didn't have a real great impact, but again, I usually always just give the subs pretty much a 6, especially when they don't play. For longer minutes stuff. Rasmus Højlund, 6, and Ruben Amorim, probably give him a 6. 5.5. I mean, we got beat. He tried to change some things, it didn't work. But also I think there was a lot of individual errors on the pitch today. I think conceding from fucking set piece, that's on the players. Mazawari going to ground inside of the box, that's on Mazawari. That's 2 out of the 3 goals. And the third goal, I can't even remember it, but I just know it came from open play. And we were pretty much just like, the players pretty much just have given up at that point. So, I have seen a discouraged United team with no playing style, no vision, and no self-determination from the players. Um, yeah, I mean that's kind of been happening for 11 years, Axe, which is what I'm trying to say. Like, um, the hierarchy have to actually do what we haven't done for 11 years is like back this manager and get in the correct profile of players that actually go with this system. At the same time, we need to see the manager get these players to play in the manner that they need to play for the system. So um that's that's what I believe. I seen it happen at Arsenal. I know it can happen at Manchester United. We just need to follow a similar path. Uh, you know, Manchester City did it in their own version, and Liverpool did it in their own version as well. Um, yeah, the blueprint is there. It's just are we going to use it and do it? Man of the match, I'll give it to Ugarte. Even though we really shouldn't be a man of the match, but Manchester United player of the game for the Manchester United squad. I'll give it to Manuel Ugarte. I think he was the one that had the biggest impact and played the best out of everybody on the pitch. Everybody else was pretty lackluster and underperformed, really. So fossil fuel is the real problem here. Back to basics, start with the defense. Well, yeah, I think that's why, but that's also why he's trying to play wing. See, he's set up to today's team. I don't think Amorim is a stupid man. I think he knows Bournemouth play a very progressive style of football. I think he knows that they press very well. I think he knows that they're good at attacking. And that's why we started the match today with Tyrell Malacia playing left wing back, and we had Diego Dalot playing right wing back. He is playing these defenders in the wing back position because he's trying to not concede so many goals while they're trying to pretty much learn the basics and get the basics of the system and the style of play down. He doesn't usually play the wing backs, defenders as wing backs. He plays wingers. But if we're conceding 3 fucking goals or two to 3 goals a game, with defenders as wing backs, imagine how many we would be conceding with wingers in the wing back position. But maybe it's doing us a bit of disservice because maybe we'd be scoring a little bit more goals, but we would be more open. So, I think one of the things that we definitely need to do is figure out what's going on with the set piece dead ball situation. We need to stop conceding those. And we need to get a handle on that immediately. I think that would help us massively in matches. And yeah, we need to improve. Should have signed the impulsive German during the summer. Well, again, I don't think it's necessarily managerial problem. I said that on the Ten Hag. I don't think it was necessarily it's not just the manager. The manager might be part of the problem, but again, there's other aspects that the club need to figure out that go above the manager, which is why one guy is not going to come in and save the team. I don't think I don't think getting Tuchel or getting fucking any other manager would put us in a different situation than we are in right now, because we need to do player recruitment properly. But I actually agree with the way that Amorim has gone about it. And again, I've stated and I believe in short-term pain for the long-term gain. I asked for a manager, and I said the same thing for Ten Hag, and I said it was a mistake that Ten Hag did, that he didn't try to bring the Ajax, what he was doing at Ajax, to Manchester United. I want a manager that comes in here, has his way of playing, and plays his way. If we suffer in the beginning for it, then so fucking be it. I'm okay. I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to take the losses, because I think it's the correct way. I think conforming to these players that have been shit, that have done nothing for you, not for you, that have done nothing for this club in the grander scheme of things, coming here and playing a 4-2-3-1 and playing counterattack and letting Rashford run in behind has gotten nobody anywhere. It didn't help Solskjaer. It didn't help fucking Mourinho. It didn't help Erik ten Hag. It didn't help Ralf Rangnick. They all conformed to the players that they had and tried to create a style and a system around them. And they all failed. So I'm all here for Ruben Amorim coming here saying, I play a fucking 3-4-3, high pressing. We're gonna make you play it. Whoever can play this, good. You'll get the hang of it eventually. And whoever doesn't, you won't. And we'll move you on. And we'll get players that can. And that's where I'm at right now. So, Dalot is not a wingback. Dalot is not a wingback, but Dalot is a defensive player. He is a right back or a left back. Ruben Amorim doesn't want to play a right back or left back in the right wing back or left wing back. He wants to play a winger. He played wingers at Sporting. He played wingers, or he would at least mix it and play one winger, one wing back. So right now, he's literally playing almost about two wing backs. I mean, today he knew what was coming from Bournemouth, so he played he played a left back and a right back. In other matches, we've seen where we play Diallo, who is a winger, and we play one player that is a left back or a right back, to kind of balance it out. In reality, if we're really good, we really understand the system, the team is gelled well, you would see matches where we play no left back or right back, and we're playing Diallo and Garnacho, or we're playing Diallo and whoever. We're playing two wingers in that position. We're not there yet. He's clearly playing the defenders because he's worried about the defense. So we have individual players. We don't play as a team. Well, at times we do, and at times we don't. And I think that's something that he's working on. But how many times have you said that, Ray? How many times have we said that, prior to... How many times have we said that, we said that loads of times under Ten Hag. We said that loads of times before Erik ten Hag. I think he's working on it. I think there's times where you can see that they play too individualistic. There's times where they have a very good understanding of each other. So, players are too selfish. Yes, that comes with the chemistry, though. Foo language, Eric. Stop giving Sporting as an example where United Portuguese league is no EPL. But I can give Sporting as an example because that was the manager is literally playing the same. He's literally doing the same style and the same system of play that he did there that he's doing here. It's the same exact thing. It's the same formation. It's the same mentality. It's the same. It's the same philosophy. It's the same thing. The only thing that is the difference is the quality of the league. So all we need to do is change the quality of our players. That's how I see it. That's why I'm giving these examples. It ended 3-0 loss because we gave away a penalty and we conceded from a set piece. But in the match itself, we only conceded one open play goal. That has to do with we have a right back and a left back playing defensive. They're more defensive. If you play wingers, they're going to be further up the pitch. They're not going to run back as much. Or it's harder to get them to run back. It's harder to get them to defend. You're gonna concede a lot more open play goals. We're not conceding a lot of open play goals right now. We're conceding fucking set piece goals. I wasn't here for the Tottenham match. I didn't watch the game, so it is what it is. Lyle says, Amorim has had success in Portugal, so don't mention it. Come on, man. Uh, the guy is regarded as one of the best and upcoming managers. So you tell us who the hell must manage United? No management with a bit of vision would have hired an average manager from Portugal. That is what I'm saying. Well, you clearly just don't like um you clearly just don't like Ruben Amorim. You think he's an average manager, but a lot of people said, and you liked Eric Ten Hag, but a lot of people said that Eric Ten Hag was an average manager. So, um, again, I don't think the manager is necessarily the biggest problem. I think Eric Ten Hag had to be sacked because where Eric Ten Hag put us in a position in his third season. I also thought that was always looming when his job was under review. And I always stated that Ineos want to get, or anybody that takes over a club want to hire their own guy. Um, so um, how can you say we just conceded one action goal? Man United is about creating and dominating the game. They created nothing. We created loads of chances. What did our players do with the ball? Bruno had 3 chances by himself. Diallo had 2. Garnacho had 1. That's just off of the top of my head. Rasmus had another. That's off the top of my head. What did we do with that? We created loads of chances. We in reality should have put 2 or 3 in the net. We didn't because we weren't clinical enough today. We've been scoring a little bit more goals. Our goal difference, other than today, was trending up, was increasing since Amorim has taken over. But again, we just had a very bad game. We're in this period where these things are going to happen. We're going to play a team. We're going to win a game like we did against Manchester City. And then we're going to play a game like we did today against Bournemouth. And we're going to lose the game. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think Axe is very much in the minority right now because I don't think anybody's really looking at Ruben Amorim. I don't think anybody's really blaming him for much. I don't think anybody's really attacking Ruben Amorim. I think the majority of the fan base is focused on the other issues because, again, a lot of us didn't even really want to sack Eric Ten Hag. We wanted to keep Eric Ten Hag, but the situation got so bad that it was untenable, and he had to sack him. But we were very, very much aware that, A, the manager is only at fault for so many things, and there's other issues there. So right now, I can't be asked about anything about the manager because he's just come in, and he's in a difficult period, and I'm really looking above the manager to do what hasn't been done at this club for 12 years. So that's for me. They couldn't control the game. They had no major chances except for Hoyland and Garnacho. All right, but what about Tottenham? What about Manchester City? We controlled the game. We had more possession. We played the better football. All right, we lost the Tottenham match, but we controlled the game. Today we were just outplayed. It's gonna happen. I mean, because you're speaking in a manner, Axe, that you're talking like this is happening every single match, and it's not. We played one match where we play very good, or we play good, and then we play a match where the performance drops. That's the point. We are in a work in progress. He is trying to teach these players, and make them learn a new system and a new way of playing. There's no way that you're going to be able to get that perfect. Now, some clubs, they get a manager and it works very well. But I would argue that these clubs haven't had the problems and the neglect that Manchester United have had for 12 consecutive years. Villa didn't have those problems. Arsenal was in a period where they were lost for over like 15, 20 years, so they're a different story. Liverpool was sort of the same. Um, and Manchester City, but they all developed different ways. Look at Chelsea. Yeah, but Chelsea sacked three managers in 3 seasons. Arnie Slot took over a team made by Jurgen Klopp that was literally one of the best teams in the league. Arnie Slot went in there and he didn't have to change much. What team did Ruben Amorim inherit? A team that won the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. A team that finished 8th. A team that went from 3rd to 8th. And what did they achieve before that? You know, before Ten Hag won those 2 cups, we didn't even win a trophy for like 4 years. And what did they achieve before that? Look how good Chelsea are now. Yeah, but after 3 managers, they bought all those players, right? They got rid of players that they didn't want, right? So you might not agree with in the way that they got managers in, or what they did with managers, but you still need to do recruitment. They bring in a bunch of players. I mean, Kepa Arrizabalaga literally played for Chelsea. He plays for Bournemouth. They got rid of him. They got rid of a shit ton of players. Have Manchester United done that? No, we still have Marcus Rashford here. I mean, Chelsea let go of Mason Mount. They let go of a bunch of players. So you can argue about the manager, but if you only do one aspect, then what's the point? You got to do the whole thing, the whole shebang. Yeah, but I don't want that cup. I actually right now I'm just focusing on the team growing, and improving. I actually think Erik Ten Hag going in his first season, getting 3rd and winning the Carabao Cup actually hurt him. I actually think it did him a real disservice, and I actually think it caused a problem. So I don't want the same thing for Ruben Amorim. I actually don't want Ruben Amorim to win the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup this season. I'll take him winning the Europa League because it gets us into Champions League. Um, and that literally be the only reason. If that wasn't the case, I'd rather just finish 4th and win no trophy. Why? Because I think winning the trophies papers over the cracks, and it masks the problems at Manchester United, and it makes us look a little bit better than we actually are. And then when it all falls apart because we're not as good as we are, and it falls apart and it comes crumbling down, on the manager. And I think that's what happened to Erik Ten Hag. And I don't want the same, and it happened to other managers as well, but it recently happened to Erik Ten Hag, and I don't want it to happen to Ruben Amorim because I actually think Ruben Amorim is a good manager. He's a good coach. I think he can do things at this club. And I believe in his ideas, and I believe in his philosophy, and I believe in his system. And I think it actually can become very, very successful. But it's not just down to him. So you would like United not to win a trophy. Right now in this season, I think for the best course of action for all together, yeah, but I actually want, we actually need to win the Europa League trophy. But in terms of this season, I think the best course of action for the team would to not win a trophy, because we just had a prime example of what happens when you win a trophy as a manager in your first season and you finish 3rd. Because I said this previously, I think Erik Ten Hag completely overachieved in his first season as Manchester United manager. I don't think that team was anywhere good enough to finish 3rd, and somehow they won a Carabao Cup. And they performed like they did it in the Europa League, like how they did, even though we didn't win it, right? We saw the fall off the second season, the 3rd season, which is this season, which ended very quickly for him, ended in disaster. That team was nowhere near good enough to finish where it did. I don't know how it finished where it did, but I think it did him a absolutely huge disservice. Because the standard was set so high, but yet none of the work was done. Um, I think right now the best possible course of action is we don't win a trophy. We finish where we finish because we deserve to finish because of what we have. Uh, I understand the importance of Europe, so I would like to be in there at the very least. So we have to take the trophy from the Europa League. And we go from there. Now, normally, I would say I want Manchester United to win every trophy, but I actually think if you win an FA Cup this season, right, or he won the Carabao Cup, that doesn't necessarily do anything for us besides paper over the cracks. Just kind of like how it did for Ten Hag. It papered over the cracks. And what did that do? It's not like we won the Carabao Cup and it spurred us on to become a better team. It's not like we won the FA Cup and we became a much better team. It didn't push us to new heights. It didn't do anything. All it did was put more pressure on the manager because they were like, you won this cup and now you won this cup, so now you have to do even more better. Where I don't want that to happen to him in his first season. I actually wanted to go in reverse because what's happened to Erik ten Hag is he went here and then he went here. Whereas I want Amorim to start here and then go here. So I don't know if that makes sense. You don't have to necessarily agree with it. But in my head, I actually want the reverse of what happened to Erik ten Hag. I actually want Amorim to not start off so great and build it up and go up as high as possible instead of starting off really, really strong, really, really good, and then having it all collapse because it was never sustainable and the foundation was never built properly. That's how I personally feel. You don't have to agree with it, but that's just how I think. Richard agrees with me. Axe says, I pray the day comes when I will say you were right, Eric. Amorim is the man. I pray for that. Well, we hope so. I don't know. I like what he has to offer right now. I'm not 100% sure. And I've always said that it could fail. There's many reasons why it could fail. There's many reasons why he could get sacked. It could be a disaster. It could have been the wrong appointment. But right now, I just can't attack this manager. I can't go after this manager as of right now because again, even the same thing that I done for Ten Hag, and I did it for Ten Hag for 2.5 to 3 seasons. I did the same thing. I was like, listen, he's gonna make a bad decision. He's gonna make a bad mistake. He shouldn't have done this. He shouldn't have done that. That's all well and good. Maybe he's doing some things that he shouldn't be doing. That's fine. But there's other problems at the club. And I think, for him, it was unfortunate circumstance because he was 2 seasons in. Third season came in and he only had that one beginning under Ineos. So let's see where the project goes. But realistically, this team will sack him sooner rather than later. Well, I hope not, because I think that would be very bad. And I don't see in what direction we will go from there because I am viewing this as year one under the new sort of hierarchy / setup. We have the manager, we have the hierarchy, everybody's here. They bring in 5 brand new players in their first window, and I would like to see another 5 brand new players. That's 10 players. That's at least the starting 11. And I would like to see where we can go from there. That's what I want to see. I'm very much aware and I'm very much acceptance that this is nowhere near good enough. This is nowhere near where I want the team to be. Performance like today is unacceptable, but I understand why it's happening. And I do understand that I'm giving leeway that for change. These things cannot happen on a consistent basis. They cannot happen a year from now. But I understand it's part of the process. And I think that when we get there, when we get a year from now, we shouldn't be seeing these things. If we are seeing these things, then there is a much bigger concern going on. But I think it's far too early to to to, to be worried about just the manager. I don't think he's had enough time in any aspect. I think he's actually been short-handed time because of the situation he's been put in. And you can blame that on Ineos and the club, because you could say they should have either not sacked Ten Hag when they did, or they should have sacked Ten Hag in the summer and did what they did to get Ruben Amorim like they did in November. One or the other. You could put the blame on them for that. Maybe he doesn't get to his third season. Maybe he gets sacked in his second season. We don't know. Maybe he doesn't even get to a third season. But we gotta find out. So, well, he's saying the Glaze is technically hired and like they brought in any, right? But again, the way I always look at that is, you might not be happy with Ineos, you might blame Ineos, but from what I remember, there was a bunch of American capitalist, venture capitalist companies that I can assure you know nothing about football, don't give a shit about football, and were ready to invest in Manchester United and give the Glazers money. So you might be pissed off about the Sheik, but again, I would redirect that anger towards the Glazers and not towards Ineos, because I think Ineos did the best possible bid that they could do for a partial investment, and I think if Ineos wasn't there, I don't think a full sale would have happened to the Sheik. That's just from the information that was put out. There was at least 10, 15 companies, all venture capitalists, ready to put money into Manchester United and give it to the Glazers. Obviously, they would expect a return, but those people don't know a thing about football. They don't care about football in any aspect. They're literally just money people, like the Glazers. So we would probably still have Richard Arnold here, and we would probably still have some type of the hierarchy that we had. So again, is Ineos perfect? No. Is it gonna work? I don't know, but I think it's better. Yeah, he said hire Ineos, but I think, well, he's looking at it in the technicality, right? Like he's looking at it like it's not really that they hired him, because Ineos paid money to get in, right? So they didn't technically. Because if the Glazers hired Ineos, the Glazers would technically be paying Ineos, but Ineos were the ones that paid the money, right? I am telling you, go ask these fans. We'll give you a realistic viewpoint of the future. Yeah, but then I'm gonna put this back on you, Axe. So you're telling me to stop giving you viewpoints of Sporting and what Ruben Amorim did at Sporting, but you're trying to get me to get viewpoints from Nice of Ineos from Nice when we're Manchester United. So I could flip that around and say the same thing for you. Now, I know, because I've read up on these fans. I did all the information reading when Ineos was prior they looked it up. I saw what they did. I looked into it. I'm very well aware. But I don't think that they've necessarily gone down the same path so far that they did at Nice. It's still early days, so we gotta wait and see, but I think they're actually operating at least slightly different. I don't think that they're doing exactly what they've done at Nice. Many people are very unhappy at them about the cutting of money, and I get that, and I don't want it per se. Like, I'm not here like championing it, but I understand why it's happening, because we are in literally a shit financial situation. And unless we can improve the football on the pitch and improve our position, we're going to keep hurting financially, because you get more money when you do better, and we're doing, we're doing very bad. Um, I am too much of a United fan and have created the idea in your mind that Ineos and Ratcliffe care about United. They don't. They might not, per se, but I will tell you that in my mind, they probably care a little bit more than, I don't know, one of the other 10 venture capitalists that were out there. I think they probably care more than the Glazers. Do they care the most? Are they perfect? No, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know them personally. I'm watching it unfold in real time. I don't know. I can't say 100% that they don't care, and I can't say 100% that they do. I'm basing it off of their actions. I think so far they've done a pretty decent job. And I'm trying to be realistic about the job that they have at hand. They inherited a giant disaster mess from shit greedy owners that have destroyed this club. How do you fix that? And also, why would you fix it? Because they paid nothing for the club. They destroyed it and took all the money. Now you got to come in. You got to put your own money into it. And maybe you're going to get money in return. But why are you going to pay to fix all the mistakes? So, No. Law's out of here. Law, catch you later. Well, yeah, it's been an hour and 46 minutes, so I'm gonna go because my throat's messed up. I got some things I gotta do anyway. I gotta go over to family's house stuff. So, it was a good discussion, good talk. We haven't seen each other in a couple of days. Before I get out of here, because I'm losing track of the schedule though. Holy shit, Liverpool are beating Tottenham 5-1 away from home. Jesus. So looking at the schedule, because I've forgotten what's going on right now. So we play Wolves. No, yeah, Wolves is on Boxing Day. I might be able to do a Red Devil recap. I might be able to do a Red Devil recap. For the Wolves match. I gotta see. I'll let you guys know for sure. And then the 30th is on a Monday. I won't be able to do that one because I'll be at work, which is shit. But then we'll be here for the Liverpool one as well. So, just stay tuned, everybody, and I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you guys updated in the community tab and stuff like that. I'll make some posts about it. Keep your eye out for the update on the Boxing Day match recap, because I might be able to do it, I might not, so I don't know yet. But other than that, everybody take care. Everybody have, if I don't see you on Christmas, because maybe we do a Christmas stream, but we might not, I don't know. If I don't see you, everybody have a good Christmas if you're celebrating Christmas. If you're not, happy holidays to you and your family. Everybody take care, be good. Thank you everybody for supporting the stream. Thank you for smashing the like button. Thank you for getting involved in the chat. Greatly appreciate you guys as always. We will catch you on the next one. Everybody stay safe and be good.